Okay, let's dive right into this explainer. Today, we're unpacking a 2,000-year-old Vedic trick to calculate incredibly complex square roots instantly, completely in your head. You know, when you see someone just effortlessly crunch massive numbers and you think, well, they're obviously just a born genius? Well, we're going to shatter that illusion right now. We're going to uncover a hidden system that will honestly make you realize you're way smarter than you think. This trick has been hiding right in plain sight.
Look at this number. I'm going to give you this exact figure right here, and by the end of our time together, you are going to find its square root in your head in exactly 5 seconds. Take a really good look at it. The square root of 6,241. Now, I know most of us instantly panic when we see a 4-digit number under a radical sign, right? You immediately want to reach for your phone or hunt down a piece of scrap paper. But hold off. Resist that urge for just a minute.
I'm talking no pen, no calculator, literally no paper. Are you ready to see how the magic actually works? Right now, I bet this feels pretty much impossible. You might be trying to mentally do long division. Or actually, scratch that. You're probably just guessing random numbers, hoping to get lucky. But listen, that's just traditional math talking. We're going to bypass that entire headache.
Boom. The answer is 79. And pulling this off, it absolutely does not require you to be some superhuman math wizard. It's a total paradigm shift. We're moving away from tedious, boring calculations and moving towards rapid pattern matching. That is the whole secret here. When someone does this in real life, it looks like a magic trick, but it's literally just observation. Every single square root lives comfortably between two perfect squares, so our only real job is just to find its neighbors.
So the entire foundation of this trick relies on understanding perfect squares from 1 to 100. Now wait, I know what you're thinking. That sounds like a massive ton of memorization. But stay with me, because it is definitely not what you think. First, we just need the basic building blocks. 1 squared is 1, 2 squared is 4, 3 squared is 9, all the way up to 10 squared is 100. You probably already have these locked in from elementary school.
Now check this out. Look at how these numbers line up. You absolutely do not need to memorize 100 boring flashcards. Just look. Notice that from 11 to 20, the last digit repeats exactly like the first 10. 1 squared ends in a 1, and 11 squared, 121, also ends in a 1. 2 squared is 4, 12 squared is 144, ending in a 4. 5 squared ends in a 5, 15 squared ends in a 5. See what's happening? You're only looking at the very last digit. That's it.
So here is the absolute game changer. You literally only need to know 10 simple square roots to master the entire system, because the numbers 1 through 10 all have completely unique last digits, and then from 11 to 20, the whole thing just repeats. 21 to 30 repeats again. The math just loops flawlessly every 10 numbers. Once you recognize this 10-number loop, you've completely unlocked the foundation of Vedic estimation.
All right, let's see how this builds into our core technique. It's a surprisingly simple 4-step process for finding literally any square root. This is where we take that basic pattern matching we just talked about and turn it into a high-powered engine for solving massive numbers. It's a super structured approach that completely removes the guesswork, leaving you with a lightning-fast, spot-on answer.
Let's apply this method directly to a real number so you can see it in action. The square root of 5,329. Honestly, do not let the size of this number intimidate you. We're going to completely ignore the fact that it's in the thousands and just chop it down using our new rules.
Okay, let's slow our pace down just a bit right here. Step 1, isolate the last digit. Step 2, find the nearest lower square for the first digits. Step 3, combine them. And Step 4, make a quick estimate. Let me walk you through this. Step 1 completely ignores the front of the number. We only care about the very end. Step 2 flips that. We ignore the end and look at the beginning to find our neighborhood. Step 3 snaps them together like Lego blocks to give us 2 possible answers. And finally, Step 4 is where we pick the winner.
Because our number, 5,329, ends in a 9, we immediately have a binary choice. The last digit of our final answer absolutely has to be either a 3 or a 7. Why? Well, think back to our basic 1 through 10 flashcards. 3 squared is 9, and 7 squared is 49, which also ends in a 9. There are literally no other single digits that squared to give you a 9 at the end. So right out of the gate, in 1 second flat, we know our final answer ends in a 3 or a 7.
Now let's look at the first digits, 53. What perfect square sits just below that? Well, 7 squared is 49. 8 squared is 64, which is obviously way too high. So our first digit has to be a 7. Now we combine our steps. The answer is either 73 or 77. And since 53 is pretty darn close to 49, 73 is the clear, logical winner. Boom! 5 seconds, and you just solved the square root of 5,329.
Now, for those of you who want to be even faster, like totally eliminate guessing from the equation, there's a deeper principle at play here. It's related to Newton's method, and it has to do with the exact geometric spacing between perfect squares. The four-step method is awesome, but what if you want absolute mathematical certainty right off the bat without even guessing?
Take a look at this bar chart. Notice how the gaps between the squares literally expand geometrically as the numbers scale up. It's wild. Between 10 squared, which is 100, and 11 squared, which is 121, the gap is exactly 21. But jump to 20 squared and 21 squared, and the gap jumps to 41. 30 squared to 31 squared, it's 61. Do you see the pattern? The space widens in a totally predictable way, giving you room for insanely precise estimation.
You can actually use this expanding gap logic to calculate decimal square roots instantly. Yeah, decimals, pinpoint accuracy. Say you need the square root of 125.3. You know it lives between 11 squared, 121, and 12 squared, 144. The total gap there is 23. Well, 125.3 is roughly 4 units past 121, right? And since the gap is 23, 4 is a little less than a fifth of the way there. A fifth is 0.2, so your brain maps it out instantly. It's roughly 11.2. You're quite literally just finding coordinates on a number line.
So why does all of this feel so much easier and way less intimidating than traditional school math? You might be sitting there wondering why something that seemed impossible 10 minutes ago suddenly clicks. Well, it's not like your IQ just spiked overnight. It's simply because we changed the language we're using to speak to your brain.
It's because you aren't really doing math anymore, you're mapping geometry. You're leveraging your brain's natural pattern recognition skills, completely removing the anxiety. The exact same part of your brain that effortlessly spots your best friend in a crowded room or instinctively navigates from your house to the grocery store, that is what you're using to find square roots right now. You've stopped calculating and you've started navigating.
All right, it is time to test yourself and prove you've mastered this explainer with a high-energy, rapid-fire challenge. We're putting this invisible geometric map to the ultimate test. I'm going to throw some numbers up. Do not panic. Just trust the four-step pattern. Isolate the last digit, find the neighborhood for the first digits, snap them together, and pick the winner. Let's do this. 5 seconds on the clock. 3,364. Okay, last digit is a 4. That means it ends in 2 or 8. First digits are 33. Square below that, 5 squared is 25, 6 squared is 36. Nope, too high. So it's 50-something. 52 or 58? Well, 33 is super close to 36, so go with the higher option. The answer is 58. How'd you do? Next one. Keep the pace up. Remember, this Vedic estimation stuff is used by actual engineers, pilots, and math Olympians because it flat out works. 7,056 ends in a 6, so it ends in 4 or 6. First digit's 70. 8 squared is 64, 9 squared is 81. So 80-something. 84, 86, 70 is really close to 64, so we go lower. 84. Boom.
Okay, last one to officially secure your title as a mental square root master. 9,409 ends in 9, so it ends in 3 or 7. First digits, 94. 9 squared is 81, 10 squared is 100. 90-something. 93 or 97. 94 is incredibly close to 100, so grab the higher option. 97, absolutely incredible.
So, did you beat the clock? Drop your times down in the comments. Make sure you subscribe to catch our cube root hack next week with Turito. And really ask yourself, what other quote-unquote impossible math problems are really just simple patterns waiting to be seen? It is truly amazing how fast we learn when we stop memorizing and start actually seeing the architecture of the numbers. Thanks so much for hanging out with me on this explainer. Keep practicing that pattern recognition, and I'll catch you on the next one.